אתה זוכר אותו, את הפיטר הזה? הוא היה פה ב-D&D? כן. רק לשנייה לראות שאני עובדת והכל...
Are you ready? Okay, so welcome to Open Business Council Summit and Awards. My name is Jaewon Chun, President of World Smart Cities Forum. World Smart Cities Forum is co-organizing this event today, and this is a very important session of the day. And this good news is I'd like to tell you that the summit generated so far over 100,000 direct views on our YouTube channel alone, and over 2 million impressions on social media in general and counting. The purpose of planning this event and this session is to discuss the new standards of small cities and innovative ecosystem of post-pandemic and during pandemic, COVID-19. And the topic of this session is specifically about the role and the small cities, and also the way of the government. I actually just invited 3 different countries. I mean, renowned speakers from the 3 different countries to share their insight, experience, and also the governmental policies and what's going on with the smart city so far, and also what the smart city would be like in the future. So that this will be very interesting sessions to share some of the examples of the countries like South Korea and Vietnam and Israel. And for construction discussion on this part, I'd like to introduce these 3 renowned speakers for today. Dr. Hila Oren, CEO of the Tel Aviv Foundation. She is in Tel Aviv in Israel. And also we have a speaker from Vietnam, Dr. Trinh, Director of Institute of Smart City and Management, University of Economics in Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Thank you. Finally, Dr. Young-sup, Chairman, Korea ICT Convergence Network. In short, we just call it KICON, maybe KICON, and from South Korea. And also he was the formal minister of South Korean Ministry of Startups and Ventures. So he can also share, show the good examples of the policies of South Korean governments regarding smart cities and also the startup ecosystems. Thank you very much for those 3 speakers for today. Then before speakers' presentation, I'll briefly introduce myself. And as a co-organizer of World Smart Cities Forum, what we just do and what is actually the thing that we are working on right now. World Smart Cities Forum is a non-profit organization based in London, England. Currently, it spreads the philosophy of a human-centric small city in many different countries, including Ukraine, Vietnam, and the UK, and also the US, and South Korea, and some of the very meaningful spaces in European nations. A demonstration complex is being built to demonstrate various technologies and services to be implemented. In order to realize this, the World Smart Cities Forum Consortium, which is also Archive Lab and Accenture, and some of the logos behind myself. This consortium has received the mandates from the central government as well as the municipality governments of the countries and all different continents to prepare the entire master plan and also create a special purpose corporation, which is in short SPC, that operates the smart city projects. So, for example, in Vietnam, we actually focus on Hanoi. It's actually a 5-year plan where the budget of project will be about $1 to $2 billion and to support the urban regeneration, and also the digital transformation kind of concept of smart cities in the mainstream and main district of Hanoi. In particular, in order to establish a smart city, which is a priority task of the Vietnamese government, the World Smart Cities Forum is preparing a smart city master plan at the moment for many different aspects at the moment. And also, most importantly, World Smart Cities Forum has launched the Smart City Tech Sandbox to strengthen the Hanoi's economic sustainable model. And also, we are just probably bring this kind of model into many different countries. We are actually working on the smart city projects. So back in 2014, we also strengthening the innovation ecosystem in East London, which is a Canary Wharf. So the concept of smart city is basically bringing the disruptive technology into the smart city projects, where we can foster many different, the small companies, SMEs, and tech startups to become the unicorns, and then they can be introduced themselves into the major the bidding markets around the world. And Accent3 is tech accelerator in there. So Accent3's role is to support this kind of programs, which is tech sandbox. And then, for example, in Ukraine, we are actually in the middle of cultivating the ecosystem of innovation in Ukraine to support the innovation arms to become a hub of innovation in Eastern Europe to take advantage of the smart city initiatives. So this is it. I think that this is now we actually moving on to the hearing more the expertise and from this three renowned speakers at the moment. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Hila Oren from Tel Aviv Foundation. So Dr. Hila Oren, are you ready?
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Ready.
Okay, just go on. Then you can share your presentation deck on the screen. Then let's go.
Thank you so much. A minute before I will share my presentation, I want to say hello to everyone and introduce myself. I'm so happy to be here. Peter invited me to join in, and we know for a couple of years, and I think the issue of smart city is an issue that is evolving and getting more interesting year by year, especially after 2020. So, Anne, if you could please share the presentation, I would really appreciate it. And we'll go to the first slide. As you upload the presentation, I will say that I define myself as a city maker. I always say I'm not a shoemaker. You can go back to the first slide, Anne, and I will keep on talking. I always say I'm not a shoemaker. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a little bit of a matchmaker. I'm a city maker. And I think we are all city makers. And this is why I define myself that way, because it's a new profession that is, I think, brought up in the last couple of years. What does it mean to be a city maker? When we're talking about Open Business Council Summit, it means to take off red tapes and roll red carpets. We need to make collaborations. We need to make changes, to take off barriers. These are some of the challenges and opportunities. And as a city maker, you approach your city, you look at what is there, and you try to sharpen it better. Let's go to the next slide. When we all know that a global city, where most of our cities is what Saskia coined the term in the 90s. A global city is a leading city with an international business center and a direct influence on global affairs. Now, let's go to the next one. When you have different global cities that attract the creative class, you always have to define the DNA if you want to understand the smart city. Tel Aviv's DNA as a startup city and as a smart city, I'll elaborate about it later. It's the first Hebrew city, it's the non-stop city, it's the white city because of the big concentration of Bauhaus buildings, And of course, it's different from the DNA of New York, of Shanghai, of Barcelona, any other city, but we have to define those DNAs in order to give the best solutions and the best answers with digital tools, with technology tools. I'll elaborate about it in a minute. Let's go to the next slide. When we got the Smart City Award in 2014, Tel Aviv-Yafo was named as the best city in the world because of some major things that in 2014 were not that. First of all, there was Wi-Fi all over the city. On 2014, it may sound weird, but lots of cities did not have that. 2 years ago, when I went to Sydney, still not Wi-Fi in the streets. And when I went to the Hilton Hotel, still no Wi-Fi. We believe that and through the corona, we understood we couldn't have had all these meetings if we wouldn't have free Wi-Fi all over. We have our digital. Let's go to the next slide. Our digital is the city card where each citizen uploads all its information. You can get free parking through this. You can register to school through that. And again, this personal citizenship card really helped us all year round, but especially at the corona time when we couldn't go out, when some of the people needed food and we could upload them money to their phones and they can go to the local shop just next door, etc., etc. Let's go to the next slide. When we are knowing that 2020, we are all experiencing a VUCA world. This is something we have to put up in mind. It's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, all people that are surrounding. Just over here, the people that are on the panel, I'm sure we all, it doesn't mean if we are a professor, a doctor, a kid, an elderly, a student, a mother, a father, we all felt this feeling of VUCA world, of something very uncertainty, very complex, very ambiguous. But this is exactly the challenge, but also the opportunity. Let's go to the next slide. This is where we have the opportunity as city makers, as cities, to listen to our residents, to understand that we can help people. And this is why on the end of March 2020, we initiated the Mayor's Emergency Fund. We understood that we have to help different communities that we were not aware of them before. And in order to do that, again, we have our technology tools, which we can use them and share them with different residents throughout the town. So what we did is, let's go to the next slide. We actually provided immediate community-specific solutions. When I say that, we have to understand that before, the Tel Aviv Foundation is a foundation and organization that is 40 years old. We raise money from the private sectors, from donors, from philanthropies, from organizations that have social responsibility. The city matches that money, and with those resources, we give out a help and we actually improve the well-being of the citizens' life. That's the regular time. But through the pandemic, we understood that there are some communities we were not aware of them before. Communities like the artists or the little businesses. Let's go to the next slide. That really understood that they could reach out to us and ask for help because they never knew how to even ask help. If our duty is to improve the well-being of those affected most by the pandemic, because we are the arm of the city of doing that, let's go to the next slide, then we understand that by doing that, we're actually keeping Tel Aviv's vibrant, inclusive, and tolerant spirit alive. People were at their homes, but they wanted to go out. And when you go out, you want to understand how you can go out, how you can reach out, how you keep your health, and how you can get help from the city. So in the next slide, you'll see that actually we defined 8 different communities. This took about a month, but the first 2 communities that never got help, the small business owners and the artists, were the first ones to get an immediate challenges, immediate problems, and we help them. Senior citizens are always in the need, but over at this time they had special problems. Women suffering from domestic violence and prostitution, asylum seekers had no job, they needed our help. Jaffa population needed our help. Welfare families and youth at risk. All these 8 communities were defined as part of the Mayor's Emergency Fund. And we went quickly, let's go to the next slide. We asked for raising money through crowdfunding, through digital tools. People did not have to go out of their homes in order to give help. In a minute, people thought maybe it's the end of urban life. What is going to happen for cities post-COVID-19? How should we react? What should we do? The next slides actually says what Professor Richard Florida, that is very efficient about the creative class. He said the crisis may provide a short window for our unaffordable, hyper-gentrified cities to reset and to re-energize. That's exactly what you understand. And these pictures, these images that you see right now are images from the COVID. People with their masks went out to the public spaces. You see the takeaways bags from the restaurant and could enjoy in a distance in places with their dogs outside, communications between them, and still in a safe way. The next slide actually says what we focused on are urban values: mutual responsibility, inclusiveness, opportunity to all. As a strong community, Tel Aviv believed that before anything, we need to give help to our elderly. The elderly felt so lonely at home. We wanted to keep them very healthy. We wanted to protect them. The next slide showed that they were at home, but they needed our help. So we initiated social impact bonds that were focused on the loneliness of epidemic with digital tools, teaching them how to use these tablets or different other tools. We made a contact through their phones, through their machines, and made them feel they are not alone. They can be attached very quickly by our volunteers. The social impact bonds did a great issue, and we can elaborate that on a different time, but for now, that was the first issue. The second issue, the second community in the next slide, are the little businesses. We encourage residents to shop local and support business during their most challenging times with a city coin. We initiated Tel Aviv City Coin, where the municipality added a special bonus to whoever bought in local shops, not in the big chains. Of course, the big chains really had a good time in the pandemic because people needed food, people needed toilet resources, etc. But the local shops needed our help, needed our support. And the city coin was something very strong that helped those local shops. What we said is feel global, but shop local. The next slide focuses on another community that really needed the help, the artist funds. They had nowhere how to get a salary. Through our grants, through interest-free loans, through new projects out in the open space, just like over here, we made a support to the artist and a support to the community and making sure that the well-being is taken care of. The next slide, we're almost there, is talking about understanding the residents' shifting needs and creating a change from our regular day life to Corona life, the way the people needed the help. And the most important thing that I like to talk about is the next slide. It talks about from urban planning to social planning, where the next term is public pocket spaces, PPS. We need to build new places for people to start working, to have chairs. Until now, the public spaces are usually out there for leisure, for toys, for kids, enjoying for sports. But now in Tel Aviv, we started initiating in the public pocket spaces, a place where you can learn, where you can work, where you have free Wi-Fi, where you can actually commute and communicate with your offices, with your classes, with your other friends. This issue is a major issue that I think I would recommend smart cities all over the world to take off. PPS, remember that. The next slide actually says that if we want to do that, we have to shift from global to local. That means in Tel Aviv, that means in Vietnam, that means in Shanghai, in New York, in London, in Barcelona, anywhere. If we want to be in touch globally, we have to do that, but we have to shift that into the local with our tools, as we said, with the technology tools. So we have to ask ourselves in the next slide, how are we creating a roadmap for post-COVID-19? I was last week in Barcelona, and it was so fascinating to see the way the mayor, Ada Colón, had invited all the mayors of Barcelona in the last 4 decades with all the residents and the city officials to sit together for 4 days and think, how is Barcelona getting its new roadmap for React? Me personally, I share the open space. I think this is the most important thing that is not being taken care of. Just think, 10 years ago, we all sat in our own offices, worked with our own people and did our work. Now, 10 years later, we have co-working spaces in the offices, we have Zooms, we communicate throughout the world. The next step is to do the exodus of this offices and to go out to the open space with open offices. So to take the shared offices from the office out to the open spaces. So as we say in the last slide, urban philanthropy, make local and global partnerships, whether it's from donors, whether it's from organizations. I think urban philanthropy can really help improve the quality of life. And I think smart cities is all about that, making it efficient. Infrastructure, roads, garbage, lights, already there. What I like to talk about as a city maker, and in the last slide, with my team that is out there throughout the corona, we were there. It is upon us to take the social responsibility and make sure that we reach out to whoever resident is out there that needs us. So you can stop sharing the slide, and I would like to thank the opportunity to be here and actually to put the social need of a smart city on the focus, because lots of times when we talk about smart cities, we focus on the technology and about digital tools, but I think they are only tools. We have to think about what the residents of our city really needs. Thank you, Peter, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hila Oren. It's been a while since we actually met, since I think back in 2014-15. So you're actually basically helping the Tel Aviv city government as one of the leadership in smart city project in Tel Aviv. So
the mayor, the mayor is the chairman of the foundation, and this is the way we are connecting to city leaders of smart city Tel Aviv.
So back when I was in London, so I actually had the frequent trip over to Tel Aviv and to share my insights regarding the London small cities and innovation ecosystem there. Then it was fascinating because I even speak a little Hebrew because of a lot of trips over there. The thing is, I was really impressed and fascinated by the ecosystem of innovation, and they didn't talk too much about the smart city in general. But I think that the one function of the smart city, one of the components of smart city, to support the ecosystem and making the city much more sustainable and resilient. to embrace the the innovative thoughts and entrepreneurship. So that way, I was really thought about something really amazing stuff's going on in Israel in terms of the everybody knows that the startup nations, and also the Tel Aviv is one of the hub, considered as one of the biggest hub in the world in terms of innovation. So startups are rushing into Israel to learn and also co-work together with Israeli tech startups to be, the next move. And, a lot of unicorns and popped up from the ecosystem from Tel Aviv and Haifa and Herzliya. So it's I think that one of the biggest the components of the smart city is how to bring the people into the city so that they can actually practice and they share their insights and the ideas with the communities and local communities, and to make the city much better in terms of the efficiencies and everything. So academia is also amazing stuff, and also you mentioned a lot of different kind of examples from Tel Aviv. And I also weight something more important function of the smart city is how you can bring up with the ecosystem of academia. So R&D's inside, and PPO that I mentioned is not PPO, it's TTO. I'm sorry, TTO is a technology transfer office. So any kind of the beginning stage of ideas can be commercialized easily, and they can actually picked up by the city government, also the entire nation. They can be commercialized in the global markets, and then one of the ideas and technology and solutions can be deployed in many different smart city projects around the world. So in this kind of linear systems of the ecosystem is, I think that Israel is really one of the examples that a lot of countries can actually benchmark from. So we can actually further discuss with more in detail, questions with you later after the two other speakers' presentation. So now I'd like to invite Dr. Young-sup Ju. They can also share the amazing examples of South Korean small cities, and also the ecosystem of innovation and during pandemic, post-pandemic. So let's invite Dr. Ju. The stage is yours.
Okay, I try to share my screen. But the right of sharing is not, does not belong to us.
No, just go to the share button.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it worked on the before the first presentation, but right now it doesn't work. The screens. Oh yeah, right. It works. Okay, good.
Good news. All right, let's go.
Okay. Okay. Very privileged and pleased to have a chance to make a presentation at the Open Business Council Summit today. Thank you for inviting me to this very honorable event. Actually, I'm as Peter introduced to you. I'm currently engaged with the Korea University as a distinguished professor. At the same time, I'm working as a chairman of the Korea ICT Convergence Network. So now I'm with academia, and previously I used to be with the Korean government as a minister responsible for SMEs, small and medium enterprises and startups. And previously, I spent 30 years with the industry. So I have a very wide spread the career during my lifetime. So today I'll make the presentation regarding strategic direction of the smart cities in the hyper change era, which is characterized as the current status. So the covering from fourth industrial revolution to COVID-19 pandemic. So now we are situated in a very crucial and very important the time frame. So not only in smart city but also all the issues. Korea is also on the planning and implementing many smart city projects, including two major projects in Sejong City, is a Korean administrative capital, and the Busan City, second largest city of Korea, and followed by the several smaller scale the cities around the country. So the Korean government is executing the many smart city related projects, including the smart city the related technologies. So as one of the global the smart city leaders, the South Korea will continuously develop the new smart city model, and we are always globalize our efforts. So to work with global partners. So I'm like to have another chance to introduce the Korean activities in this area. Today, I will cover the strategic direction of the smart city. This is a very big issue and big story. Too long story to be covered within 15 minutes, but I'll try to condense my talks as much as I can. Okay, so the world is currently, I can say that the world is in hyper change era. So the change, speed of change, scope of change, and the scale of change is not comparable with any previous time. So the changes are currently in progress at the light speed. So the global economic environment is changing, including fourth industrial revolution and new normal. And technology is changing so fast. And then generation is also changing. In other words, the people are changing. And capitalism, which is a core concept, core paradigm of the current global economic system, is also changing. So it resulting in change of the government policy. Also severely affect the smart cities too. And then management philosophies are changing, and COVID pandemic is affecting everything a lot. And also the climate crisis is currently what we are concerned about most as upcoming, possibly upcoming the crisis. So when we talk about and this the plan smart city, we need to consider this kind of changing factors. So I do not have enough time to elaborate one by one, but very briefly cover all of these major changes. So let me see. Yeah. So when it comes to fourth industrial revolution, digital transformation is the key concept, as you know, and the technology is also the center around the core technologies for fourth industrial revolution, which is based upon the digital transformation. So including physical-based technology, cyber-based technology, and platform technology. I believe all of you are familiar with this. And when it comes to the changes of the technology, we can say that the next 10 years will be an age of data. So in other words, the importance of data is becoming the higher and higher. So even that also will affect the smart design too, smart cities too. And in order to take care of age, the age of data, actually we need to cultivate the intelligence of things capability. So previously we say the IoT as the Internet of Things, but Internet of Things is kind of the connectivity. The connectivity creates a lot of data. So and then the data will be analyzed by intelligence. But in case of the upcoming the years, Internet of Things will be based upon the 5G and hyperdata, hyperconnectivity, hyperdata, and hyper artificial intelligence. So that will create the new the growth engines and new value added. That is kind of the direction of the technology side change. And next slide is the actually this year CES the Las Vegas the Consumer Electronics Show. The confirmed that this kind of trend is currently in place. So the intelligent things are gaining momentum. So we can see the obvious the progress in the area of the AI, deep learning, robotics, and natural language processing, cloud computing. All of these are the also the core technology for smart cities. So, and generation is changing very right now. So, especially emergence of the millennial generation, millennials, as well as the Gen Z, will be changing the whole atmosphere. Actually, customer is currently changing, employees are changing, all stakeholders are changing. So, enterprises, companies needs to renovate all management strategy, including marketing, human resources, development and management, and all relationship management. So that is also a very key change. And capitalism also is currently changing. So the capitalism 4.0 is a kind of the new trend starting from 10 years ago. So around the global financial crisis. So now the now let me check the okay, good. So the capitalism is a country swinging like a pendulum between market and the free market and the kind of government control. So the capitalism 1.0 is more market-based, 2.0 is more government control-based, and 3.0 is more market, and then more now the 4.0 is going for more government the environment. So now the government is concerned. Every government is concerned about kind of social separation into two extremes. By means of the winner takes all, by means of the winner takes all and the innovation based the policy. So so now the Davos Forum, which was held 1 year ago, announced that the capitalism needs to be changed from shareholder capitalism to stakeholder capitalism. So stakeholder means the not only shareholder but also employees and customers and local communities, something like that. So in other words, the more inclusive capitalism, more inclusive growth has been emphasized or much more than before. So that is the kind of very big important concept we need to be considered in design of these smart cities. And also the management philosophy is currently being changed. So in order to so-called ESG management, so I don't have enough time to elaborate more. So and then we are currently facing COVID-19 pandemic, and that is the directly or indirectly related to change of climate change. So now this climate change issue is becoming more and more into the climate concern, climate crisis, which is a much more much stronger impact than the pandemic itself. So now the carbon neutral is currently being implemented. To make the accomplish carbon neutral by 2050, or some country like China 2060. So this carbon neutral is a clear the direction of all human mankind, and as well as the all global government. So actually, this kind of the issues, this kind of the hyper change, the issues it needs to be considered to the plan and implement the smart cities. So because the smart cities are kind of the convergence of the all different sectors. So including smart homes, smart buildings, smart healthcare, smart education, smart energy, smart mobility, and smart administration. So when we this kind of the smart city is also picked as one of 6 key trends of the this year 2021 by CES. So everybody understand how the important how smart city is considered by the global the public and private sectors. So when it comes to a strategic direction of the smart cities, the first thing we need to the mention is to design our new smart city model by the means of the digital transformation or intelligence of things I explained. So in order to make this kind of process, first step we must consider as the most important step is going to be create the shared vision of smart cities. So this kind we easily think about technology innovation first, but we need to think about the shared vision first before the technology innovation. So in other words, the technology innovation is a kind of enabler to achieve shared vision of the smart city. So we need for the ecosystem, any military ecosystem, any cities around the world needs to secure consensus among this ecosystem regarding what is our the shared vision. So basically, most of cases, the shared vision of smart cities is composed of 5 goals, including a healthy city, sustainable city, and smart intelligent city, and a safe city, and growing city. So whether we pursue all of them or whether we put more priority into some of these 5 goals. So actually ESG, the environment, social, and governance. So ESG concept is also a very key framework and concept we must consider when we start smart city projects. And then we need to consider what is the best and most appropriate core technology for smart cities. So which is will be based upon intelligence things or digital transformation. So first thing we must consider as a first step, it will be a connectivity. So how to build up connectivity scheme within the smart cities, or including all the smart devices or smart sensors. So including IoT, smart sensor network, or by using the wired or wireless communication, including 5G. And then based upon this connectivity, we can create a lot of data. So data can be divided into 2 categories. One is big data, and the other one is fast data. Fast data means very time sensitive. So real-time data is also very important. So this data needs to be stored and retrieved and using the cloud and edge computing, and then the cloud edge computing will be applied using the artificial intelligence technologies. So actually, eventually the digital twin concept and cyber physical system has become emerging as a very important concept and technology for smart cities, because it will, by using this digital twin, we can model or simulate all the scenarios we are currently planning, and also eventually we can achieve autonomous system. So, and then the COVID-19 pandemic and climate crisis is the country becomes a very key factor to be considered in design of the smart cities. So as a result of result of the digital transformation in progress, so we need to redesign city function and spaces. So whether we design whether we go for job housing proximity or balance of the concentration of dispersion. Also, but the three keywords are currently considered as very important keyword for future direction. That is the responsiveness and flexibility and resilience. So now the resilience becomes the very more and more important. So these three keywords needs to be considered. And finally, the smart city will be accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and as well as the concern of the climate crisis. So we may utilize this kind of crisis as a kind of the momentum to create new opportunities by accelerating the digital transformation. Also, in order to achieve that, we need to create the shared vision by the technology innovation. So that's it. I will briefly explain what is the strategic direction of smart cities in hyper change, the era we are currently situated. And actually, based upon this kind of concept and framework, South Korea is implementing the two major smart city projects, as well as the several the little bit smaller scale the smart city projects all around the country. So I'd like to have another chance to introduce the more detailed progress of the Korean the smart city project as the one of the global smart city leaders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ju. So it was very informative and very exciting presentation you delivered for us. I was really just quite impressed by your work, and also this is very meaningful to share with the audience around the world too, for how the smart city is going on, and also the innovation ecosystem in South Korea can be meaningful to bring the kind of the future collaborations. Personally, I was actually advised by Dr. Ju when he was the Minister of the Ministry of Ventures and the startups and ventures in South Korea, because probably we can discuss something more, because when I was delivering master plan for the national smart city project in South Korea, there was kind of very tangled concerns and issues. Probably maybe a lot of countries, even including Israel and Vietnam, they had probably maybe overcome with it, because silos and the regulation, the issues, and also who's going to be involved in this kind of initiatives based on the innovation ecosystem. I think that the COVID-19 pandemic gives a lot of homework and assignments and how the next move should be shifted to. So we definitely talk about that later. The one more interesting thing about South Korea is whenever the people talking about R&D expenditure based on the GDP per capita, Israel used to be #1 in the world. That's why Israeli government, they actually just support a lot of the startups. And then you can see that kind of result from NASDAQ or any the stock exchanges in Europe, and of course, including the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. But ironically, South Korean, the R&D expenditure on GDP per capita is actually become #1 in the world. So Israel is #2. So that's another question for South Korean. Even though recently Coupang is one of the largest e-commerce giants in South Korea, they enlisted in New York Stock Exchange a few months ago. So it will be actually another, ringing bell for South Korean tech startups to be going global, because I know very well about the tech startups and innovative, tech companies in South Korea is really reluctant to going global markets because they are really afraid of the challenging themselves and into the markets they never experienced. So we definitely talk about that as well, and we'll be kind of collaborating points with other nations, just like in Israel. Also I was the representative of the Korean Israel Chamber of Commerce and many years ago. So I was actually trying to find out the kind of bond between the kind of ecosystem innovation. Cool. Thank you very much again, Dr. Ju. Now let's move on to Dr. Tuan. She's going to deliver her message and also to share the insights about what's going on in Vietnam. It's very, very interesting about Vietnam because I'm currently working master plan for Vietnamese governments in Hanoi. But she's in Chi Minh City, which is the largest city in Vietnam. But we are actually working very closely to support the global inputs in Vietnam to be moving forward, probably maybe quantum jump in terms of the economic gestures. So now it's yours, Dr. Tuan.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Tuan, the Director of Institute of Smart City and Management, University of Economics, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. So I would like to say many thanks to Peter Chun, President of the World Smart City Forum, to invite me in this interesting section for sharing with you all about the topic about the smart city development in Vietnam. We want to discuss about the challenges and opportunity. So the data shows that Vietnam is one of the few countries after China to record the net positive GDP growth. Despite the pandemic, the Asian Development Bank (ADB) has forecasted a 2.3% growth for Vietnam for 2020, and with the economy set to bounce back to 6.1% in 2021, provided the pandemic is contained. So we also get quite successful in the pandemic COVID-19 until now. We also clarify 5 urbanization problems in all the areas and countries around the world that you may see everywhere. Of course, the impact level may be different from country by countries. We may have our own questions, how we should build the city to solve these urbanization problems, which type of the city can help and to eliminate or deal with those issues. So smart city types seem a city type that can manage these problems efficiently nowadays. And smart city development in the many countries and cities around the world and bring many advantages as well as some disadvantages that if we cannot have a right management. Vietnam is not out of this development that related with the smart city development. Many news and updated policies to foster the development of the smart city in Vietnam in both national and also regional scales. In particular, from August 2018, the Prime Minister approved the
Dr.
project.
We're losing you. Can you just speak again? Can you just...
You can hear me? No?
Yeah. Now it's okay. So can you go ahead?
Okay, sorry.
We lost you about 10 seconds.
Okay. I think maybe the quality of the internet is not so good. Okay, so when we're sharing about the smart city development in Vietnam, so we in particular from the August 2018, the Prime Minister approved the project on sustainable development of the Vietnam commercial investment in the period of 2018 to 2025 and a vision to 2030, referred at the project 950. So many other policies have been implemented as the foundation. And we also propose some milestones to develop the smart city in Vietnam from 2020 to 2025 and to 2030 for better quality of life of the people's life with the content detail. So the perception of the government and also a lot of the stakeholders when we thinking about the smart city, we thinking that in the beginning we think that the foundation or the most important thing to develop the smart city is the telecommunication. So that's why we have the 30 province and city size the memorandum with the telecommunication companies to develop the smart city. Then we identify, clarify that the telecommunication cannot be the key. So we also thinking technology should be the key. So it also can highlight from like Ho Chi Minh City in 2018. From the Smart City Committee of Ho Chi Minh City, we include one technology company. We call Quang Trung Software Corporation. Besides own representative from the local authority, we don't have the other stakeholder like a university, institute, or the other company in the other fields in that's the committee. So you also can see that the fact is not like only technology or only the telecommunication. So from until now, we get some results that we have the 38 among 63 regions in Vietnam already deployed or prepared a policy related to smart city development. And many are implementing or developing smart city projects. And e-government is the focal point in the past few years. And the government also give the approval for the smart city proposal at the city like Quảng Ninh, Vĩnh Phúc, Bắc Ninh, Ho Chi Minh City, Cần Thơ, Phú Quốc, Đà Nẵng, and Bình Dương. So I would like to share with you some first step of the successful. We consider the successful when we go with the first step for the smart city development. The first city is the Quảng Ninh. Quảng Ninh is one of the earliest development of the smart city in Vietnam, parallel with the Đà Nẵng. So they also get some milestone like 2012. They also start with the digital government documents and also concentrate to develop the e-governments. And from now, they also get from 2017 and 2020, also try to build up the smart city from the aspect of just smart transport and smart tourism. The second city that I want to mention is Bình Dương. Bình Dương is one of the most successful case. They also get the quite big milestone in the one of the 21st Mass Intelligent Community Forums and the e-government prize in Asia Pacific. And they also focus on the e-governments, smart transportation, health, and environment. The next one is the Đà Nẵng. Đà Nẵng also can consider as well as the one successful case on the start of the develop the smart city. Like they get some prize from the 2015. From 2015, Đà Nẵng also get the Asian City Applied Technology in Public Services, and also continued in 10 years from 1910 until 1918. They get the #1 ranking as the ready indicators of technology applying in development in Vietnam, and also get the prize of the e-government transformation in 19 cities and province. And also get the one of the 20 cities in the world has the lowest carbon level. That is also ranked by Energy Conference of the APEC on the 44th conference. And also can get the one of the 100 smart city by IBM, or they also get the Green National City of the Vietnam by International Union of the Conservation of the Nature in 1918. So Đà Nẵng also focus on development of the ICT, smart transportation, smart water management, a sanitation system, and connectivity. And they also learn a lot of experience from like Barcelona, Valencia, Seoul, Songdo, and also Busan, and also the other smart city around the world. And the last city that I want to discuss is the Ho Chi Minh City. The Ho Chi Minh City, it seems that go and or develop the smart city quite late, not like in the other city. And we also just start officially from the 2017 to build up the 4 smart city center. And on the January of 2020, several centers also built up like a intelligent transport system, or social economic simulation and forecast, or security center. And in Ho Chi Minh City, we also try to apply the technology in management, in transportation, in health, education, and environment. And I think in the good signal or the good milestone that we also established the Thủ Đức city belong to the Ho Chi Minh City with the population of the 1.1 million. And the Thủ Đức city will be one of the example that we will concentrate and focus to develop the smart city, become a good example for the Vietnam. So I also can make the general that for the smart city development in Vietnam, we focus on 4 pillars of the smart city development. First one, the management. The second one is the economy, transportation, and energy. But from a point of view that we want to recommend to concentrate more with the smart people, because the people in the center of the city, and we have the many amazing developments because of we want to increasing the people quality of life. So when we consider for the smart people, we also can more integrate with the different field and to develop toward the smart city and sustainable developments. And through all of the smart city development in Vietnam, we also can discuss some of the challenges from the development from the Vietnam. So I can highlight here 5 challenges in our development process. The first one that we consider too much about the technology. My point of view that technology is not enough to develop the smart city. And also we also can see that the challenges in the technologies can be seen like the core technology are developing, but it's still very slow and limited in the groups or the communities. And also the second one, that the challenges in the emerging technologies, leadership and the management. We are still depend on the improve of the technology and foreign talents. So it's become very instability and insecurity development. And the last one, that we have the lack of the connectivity and knowledge sharing the platform to foster the integrated developments, especially in education, why these technologies can be adopted in many courses in different scale and methods. And also the second challenge that we have the lack of the appropriate and priority developments. So the challenge in the how to give the priority and selecting the best development model for each city or suitable with the different local context is very, very important. So Vietnam City also has the very limited resources. And bigger cities are facing with the global issues such as like a climate change, rapid urbanization, pollution, and so on. So we need to give the priority for the development. And also the second thing that Vietnam geopolitics and eco-social context. So we really need an identical approach, not only a copy strategy and pace. So the global issue need to go with the global approach, but in the local action. And the third one, that we also lacking of the human-centered in the development of strategy, and also the integrated between the different field and different human sector to show with each urban issue. And the next one in the first challenges that we also can see like the inconsistency and the fragmented on in the policy and also the implementation and so on. So the experience in the deployment, the management, and the implementation is very important. We are now lacking of the connection and sharing in the different scale of the sector, and also the lack of the common vision of the smart city developments. So for example, I also can give an example for the infrastructure. We have the incomplete and disruptive. It means that it's an inconsistency between the new development project with the existing urban infrastructure. And the infrastructure is still a major obstacle of the urban development in the Vietnam. And we also have to face with the very big issue or the threats with the climate change, like flooding with the raining, and also the sea water encroachment. So the challenge for those issues from the infrastructure can be highlighted in several, like the first one is the changing the design method of the city. And the second one is the changing the design and management of the building toward more sustainable energy consumption. And the next one that the changing of the infrastructure towards more integrated and sustainable transportation system. And the next is the changing the energy infrastructure towards more efficient and renewable resources. And the last one will be the better management of the urban resources and assets, like land, water, solids, waste, and so on. And the last one that on the challenges that we lacking of the common frameworks and plans. So we have a lot of the policy. We also have the plan, but how to make it become the one framework, and when we can set up for the one target, and all of the labor and all of the field can go and work for the one target to get the success, or to show with the final of the urban issue is also the very limitation. And also the limited awareness of the smart city development related with the technology. So we also can see the threats of the technology inequality, like a job loss, like the competition in the job markets. So for the policy, we also can see the people awareness the policy, that normally the people from the policy or for the government, the local authority, they focus too much on the technology, but technology only the tool that can help to solve the urban issue toward the sustainable development, so that we can in our efficiently resources. So it also can consider the smart city development. And also next one, I think is quite important, is that we had the field education program for the smart city and related field, but we get the lacking of the integration between the education, the institutes, with the stakeholder, and also the local governor. It means that we need an integrated platform where we also can contribute more the solution, and also the technology, the tool to apply and to do and to work. And we need that kind of foundation. So the most important thing, that think globally, act locally. So we also propose for like 4 main points that we also can set it to make the framework, and to make the integrated platform where that the people also can make and can work. The first one, we have to define the urban identity. So the urban identity is maybe something that we have already, like a Hanoi or Hội An, but sometimes we also can find the identity where we can solve the urban issues. And also we have to get the vision on that one. And the second is when we have to get the priority, because we have a lot of the urban issue. We cannot have enough resources, not only the financial, and also the human resources to solve all of the issues. So we need to set the priority and make the integrated platform between the university, company, and government to solve all of the urban issues. And we need to have the clear strategy with a stick of the 1 or 2 objectives. So our message will be like doing the right in the first time. So for the integrated education platform, where the technology development and transformation can be a tool. So here in our Institute of Smart City and Management, ISCM, of the University of Economic Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, we also build an integrated education platform with the adaptability and flexibility, where we can have the different stakeholders, like local and also international universities, institutes, company, and local authorities. And also from the different fields, especially applying technology, joining together to deal with the urban problem solving through the teaching, research, and practical projects. And also in ISEM, we also developed the emerging technologies such as VR, AR, smart sensor, 3D printing, urban simulation, and visualization in learning program, research and project to help the student and researcher, local authority, and other partners gain the ability to adapt and to rapid the development of the both urban environment and also technology towards sustainable development. So for the very short time, I would like to share with you some progress and also development of the smart city in Vietnam, and also some our point of view from the view of the university and institutes that we also want to work and to develop the smart city in the right way. And also thank you very much for listening, and all the questions is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tuan, to share your insights and examples and currently the project is working on right now. I think that you are the representative of the major institute actually dealing with the smart city in Ho Chi Minh, in Ho Chi Minh City. I think that you can bridge the kind of collaboration from private sectors, academia, and the public sectors that maybe where I can actually do something, in Vietnam together with you. Now we're gonna actually just spend maybe about 10 minutes and to discuss something more in details. I think that we wish we had more time, but since limited time, I think that probably I can just give each one of you one or two questions. To start with, Dr. Hila Oren. Thank you for waiting for a long time. So basically,
enjoy listening.
Yeah. So Israel is an amazing country, which used to stigma of a country that failed to prevent quarantine during COVID-19 since last year. Even in the early days of the outbreak of COVID-19, became the now first country in the world to officially declare outdoor no mask by the government after putting all efforts into securing a vaccine. What do you think about, what do you think is the main cause of Israeli reversal and this successful outcome?
I think it is it gives a great example of our culture, or our identity. When everybody likes to read the book Startup Nation, is because of our mentality. We are startuppers, we're entrepreneurs. So we like to think out of the box. We like to take risks, but we don't like to work by the book. That means that in quarantine, you have to be very, very disciplined. You have to go by the book and make sure that you obey the rules. Israelis are not that strong. On the other hand, when you have to be the first one to try the vaccine and to try doing things out of the box, we were the first ones to take the risk, jump on the solution and go with it, where other countries in the world, it took them time. Also, we were lucky that our health system is a very unique health system. So supported by digital tools, that all my data is in my health card. So when I get my vaccine through the Kupot Cholim, it really helps. So I think the answer is both things. Our culture, which doesn't like to obey rules. This is why the quarantine didn't work so hard. But the culture that likes to try things, this is why we tried the vaccine first.
Do you think this is one of the kind of process of the smart city agenda to, to cope with any kind of challenges of the community and local government? I mean,
absolutely. We had a special community in Bnei Brak with religious people, where they had a special challenge of lots of illness, and we saw the way a small startup in the name of wait, I'll tell you the name. I just had it here in front of me. Synergy. What they did is in 2 months, they got all the information through digital tools, and they actually changed the whole map of that city from a very bad situation to a very good one. So we can see that with digital tools, with technology, we can improve health through city, I would say, officials, because national level is one thing, but mayors and city officials are the ones that can really bring the answers. And this is why I believe so much in smart city, but with the focus on the human focus. I just saw Tuan talking about it also. This is where I believe our great value is.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Now, I'd like to ask Dr. Ju. I just mentioned about KICON after your speech. So 2 months ago, I think, the KICON, a Korean e-commerce giant, and which is it basically became unicorn, went public on New York Stock Exchange. So on the first day of the listing, 40% of the value was traded at the increased price. So breaking the market capitalization of about 90 billion US dollars in no time. Now, the Korea's e-commerce market is fluctuating due to KICON, so which has secured ample investment by listing on the New York Stock Exchange. How will this affect the Korea's innovation ecosystem and startups overseas expansion?
Okay, I think that the impact and consequences out of the KICON's IPO in New York Stock Exchange has been very enormous. So of course especially for startups, it has given the Korean startups a lot of the confidence and kind of the pride regarding their potential. So the KICON can do that, and then the Korean startups have many promising startups, so they can do that. So that kind of the confidence level has been increased a lot. So that is one the positive outcome. And second thing is the KICON is gonna the kind of the Korean leader of as of today, KICON emergence of KICON ignited the more fierce competition between Korean offline giants as well as the online giants. So now that will end up with, that is expected to be end up with more healthy competition. Evoke the more emergence of the promising startups and promising the tech startups as well as the more the distribution or e-commerce startups. So I think that the KICON has made a big success, and that will be working as another stimulus for Korean startups as well as existing companies.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ju. I think the unicorn creation is the biggest agenda for every nation. Even in Europe, Estonia is one of them. And also, when I was involved myself in Cognicity small city initiatives in London, in Canary Wharf, we have nurtured more than 400 startups in the last 5-6 years, and about 13 unicorns popped up. In London, ecosystem is amazing. Average one unicorns appear in London market, so which actually changed a lot of things. Even the mindset of the bureaucrats, and they actually give a lot of assignments for the leadership of the government and also bureaucracy, as well as the more investors coming in to, attract their the interest in investing in more, the tech startups or maybe disruptive technologies. I think that way, I do believe that Korea has a lot of potential, and it deserves the huge success, and if they actually go into the global market. Very interesting one. Dr. Tuan, I think that you know what I do, and we basically shared a lot of things. And before, when I actually visited the office, no, we actually on online meeting the other day. In 2018, the Prime Minister of Vietnam he announced the National Smart City initiatives. Well, actually, he focused on 4 major cities, of course. Hanoi is the capital city, which is actually one of my major projects at the moment. And Ho Chi Minh City is the largest economic cities in Vietnam. And the tourist cities is called Da Nang. A lot of people might know this city is beautiful harbor and beaches. Then Ganta is a Mekong River Delta area, is actually rising cities and combining with the other 8 ASEAN nations as well. And it's implementing policies under the supervision of the Ministry of Construction at the moment. What are the characteristics and directions of Vietnam's smart city policy in general? And what are the obstacles to building a smart city? I know, because this is a very important question. They went through the dealing with me and also with the government, the central government and municipalities. So there might be a lot of huge gaps to combining their insights and of course the mindsets. So what do you think about that?
Oh, thank you very much for your question. I think it's a very interesting and quite difficult question that I can give the answer, because we also can see like a smart city development is also have to be integrated from the different people and different field, different level. And I, from the point of view of the university and also institution, so I will share my opinion. Maybe it's only our opinion. It's not like a general opinion from the other people. So if you're asking about what is the characteristic and the direction of the Vietnam Smart City policy, so in the policy that the Prime Minister sharing, and also we also have the project that I'm sharing in the presentation, we concentrate about the 5 pillars to develop the smart city. The first one is the smart management. The second one is smart energy. The next is the smart transportation, smart economic, and the last one is the people. So normally when we take a look and we see about the policy and regulation in Vietnam, normally is always very updated and very modern, but only when we do the implementation we get some gap, and it's also sometimes somehow can go in a different ways. So you also mentioned about the four main city from the north, the central, the south, and also the Delta Mekong, that the government want to develop, more develop to get the target to work the smart city first, and also can be the area to get the motivation for the other city also can develop and can follow something like that. So, and also can make the connection between the owner of the 4 city in the 4 area to make like the framework and also the motivate for the economic and for the other thing development. So it's quite new. And when you work in Hanoi, you also can see like when you work is also, you also can see a lot of the difficulty when you want to make the integration between the different fields. And also if you want to get the data, it's also very difficult, because if we will work with the smart city, we work with the new technology, if we don't have the data, we cannot do anything. So I think it's the most very difficult is the open-minded for the sharing data. So how we can sharing the data and how we can integrate it and work with. And also the second thing is I think it's also quite obsolete when we building is that the one thing that I also mentioned in my presentation, and also in everywhere that when I can speak up, that we lacking the integration. And we don't highlight the role of the education or institute. So we also work with we thinking only smart city development only for the government and only for the technology company also can work with and can support this. And also the next one that the government now very focused on the e-government and also the infrastructure, how to build it. And when they see that the infrastructure, we cannot work well like the other city around the world develop with the smart city, and we think that, okay, we have to stop there. So it's very difficult to go forward. And the next one, I think, is the most important thing that we for the smart city development, we quite depend on the state budget, and we cannot how do we say, it means we cannot, a lot of the stakeholder and also the other stakeholder and company also want to contribute on the develop the smart city with the buses, but the regulation quite difficult, how to contribute and how to work with and how to invest on each kind of the project, and on the rise from to asset from the data and so on is quite difficult. So I think that we really want to work on that, but the mindset is having not enough open, and we also just concentrate also in the several groups. So it's quite difficult if we want to work more efficiently on the roadmap of the smart city.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. I personally, I was, I experienced some kind of the obstacles of, to get, working together with the governments in many different countries, even in Ukraine. We're actually resigning the central government of Ukraine actually tomorrow to build up the master plan of Ukrainian smart cities. So it's a kind of fascinating project as well. The thing is, when I actually just did my role as the master planner for National Smart City Project in South Korea, I spent about 50% to dealing with the kind of building up the bills, the special laws, and kind of define the roles of the many different stakeholders of the smart city projects. I think this is kind of universal, the challenges and for many different countries, including in Israel. So because the perspective from the public sector or the government and private sectors, even in ecosystem of innovation, probably there might be a lot of different, the gaps and, to see everything probably maybe different. So I think that we have that's why the kind of collaboration between the public, private, academia could be collaborating on how to develop it in a way of making some smooth approach. So I think that smart city is considered as a kind of the normal noun. You cannot really define what the smart city is really about, right? In some of the countries, the smart city means urban regeneration. Another terms of the smart city in specific countries like in Israel, maybe a different, probably maybe a new development in terms of the bringing another level of the next digital transformation and commercializations or something. Because Israeli cases, they don't have a specific market due to the small markets inside. But Israeli tech startups, they consider the market is they can go everywhere, kind of chutzpah, right? So yeah, you are muted.
Sorry for that. Peter, I'd love to share something on this issue, not from Israel, but from Sydney, Australia, on the public-private partnership between a university, a private sector, and a municipality. I was honored to be invited on February 2020, just a minute before the pandemic was out, to George River Council. It's a council surrounds Sydney, Australia. They built up a beautiful partnership with Australia Furniture, which is furniture for the outside, for the open space, and New South Wales University. The three team, okay, University, George River Council, and Street Furniture actually initiated something called chill out hubs. Those are furniture for the outside, for with technology, with digital tools built in the tables, that people can sit outside and use their devices and meet and collaborate with the neighborhood, etc. I must say that when I came there, February 2020, I thought it was a great idea, but was not aware yet on how much would be the impact. Since
Okay.
Corona just jumped out a month later, I think this is just a beautiful example of a collaboration between university, private sector, and the municipality. And I brought that issue, and this is why we started doing it also in Tel Aviv. So I think us as city officials that are sitting down and are collaborating all the time, we don't have to invent the wheel. We can learn from each other, learn where in other places already did great jobs. You can Google up street furniture and see chill out hubs. They did a great job, and this is another opportunity for me to say thank you for.
Actually, I also share the kind of the consensus with Dr. Oren regarding her comments. Korea is also executing smart city projects along with the not only private sector but also the private companies. So we created the special purpose company, which is composed of the kind of consortium of the private companies in the various areas. The starting covering the not only technology but also system integration. So that kind of the combination of the private and public sector will be a very good direction to achieve the smart the city the concept.
I can agree more. We have a lot of things to discuss together, but sorry, we don't have much time. So I think the next panels, they're actually waiting for their sessions. So it's really honor for me to have you all here today to sharing all the insights from your perspectives, from your representing your countries. I think that we can just do just a little step, and you can change the world. And we can suffer. We've been suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic, but with the innovation in a small city, we can actually maybe overcome with it entirely sooner or later. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and probably we can just miss some other time during the pandemic, after pandemic soon. Thank you very much, and
thank you for inviting us, and then stay healthy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.